And we continue with our CUSA tip-off show, the last stop on our marathon tour around the conference. We're going to Western Kentucky and starting with the Lady Toppers. Great season for them a year ago, 23-9, 13 wins in Conference USA play, good for third place in the league. But like so many around the conference, you end up losing a lot. 4 starters not returning, only 21% of the scoring coming back. Zophie Telegdi going to be a big part of that, as well as 3 new transfers coming into this program. They'll kick off CUSA play at Jacksonville State in early January. Pleased to be joined now by head coach Greg Collins, Zophie Telegdi joining us as well. Guys, thanks for making time for us. Coach, we talk about what's not coming back. Going into this offseason, how did you kind of approach that? How did you try to build this roster, kind of knowing what you had and what you needed to replace?
Well, I think the key for us has been, not just this season, but making sure we keep things simple and make sure that things are effective but not complicated. So when we have new additions or we have things that change, because that's going to happen, we're ready to ramp up pretty quickly. And so I'm proud of the group that we've got right now. They're really working hard together. They've kind of gelled. The chemistry is really positive. And so I think that even though we've, replacing a lot of minutes played, replacing a lot of production on the court, that's happened in previous years as well. And so I think that this group is going to be ready to go.
Coach, give us an inside look into practice right now. Who is stepping up? Who's made a big jump from last year? I see a lot of smiles over there. What are you expecting from this year's group?
Well, Zophie got her, my wife makes their favorite dessert for their birthdays. So she got her birthday Oreo balls. And on there, happy birthday, but on the bottom it said, rebound. And so, happy birthday, but rebound. And so I'm expecting, we did well. We do it well every year defensively, turning people over, getting steals, creating transition offense. We're amongst the best in the nation in those areas. One of the areas that we've got to continue to improve on is rebounding. And so I'm expecting us to be a lot more impactful on the boards. That's where we lost some ball games last year. Some key games, just lost them on the boards. And so we've got to do a better job on that area. And I think that that'll start with Zophie.
Zophie, I understand you played for the Hungarian national team this past summer. What was that experience like? How much were you able to learn from an experience like that?
It's an honor to play for my country every year, and I'm playing with people who I grew up with playing basketball since I was little. So it's like going home in a different sense, also being home, but being with my other family, like in the sport. So it's really good.
Zophie, you lost some players last year to graduation that were program players, Alexis Mead, Destiny Salary, and others. What did they teach you about this game in terms of how you approach it? And then what are you doing this season, especially as a leader, to kind of translate some of those things over to the game?
They helped me find my confidence that I lost in on the previous years, and they helped me feel home and away from home. So it was hard to lose everyone that was graduating or ended up going somewhere else. But we have a lot of new people here, and it's like nothing changed, and everyone's just feels like they've been here for so long. So it's just really good.
Yeah, now, Coach, I understand somebody told me you guys, as a team-building thing, had a pickleball tournament. Is that right? And if that's true, who won? Who's good on the pickleball court for you guys?
Well, probably Coach Witt, our assistant coach, is probably the best pickle. So it's a good thing the players are on basketball scholarships.
Yeah,
So my job, I didn't play. My job was to fix chicken and grill corn, and so they did a really good job of wiping out all the food. So we'll leave the pickleball where it is. But they had fun. We do a lot of team building, as I'm sure a lot of schools, a lot of universities do that. But we do a lot of team building activities. One, to build that chemistry, because when you have a significant change in your roster, and that's happening each year across the country, and so we've got to make sure we spend a lot of time getting to know each other off the court as well as on the court.
Well, Coach, we are excited to see what this team looks like when the season gets underway. We appreciate you spending some time with us here today.
Appreciate you. Go Tops.
Yeah, thank you guys. All right, well, Kelly, when you take a look at this team, we touched a little bit on the transfers they have coming in. You think Trinity Rowe could be an impactful player right away for them?
Yeah, she was the freshman of the year last year at Southern Miss, and she had over 1,000 assists in her high school career. Was actually Miss Kentucky, so she's in the right spot, right, at Western Kentucky right now. But she did have big shoes to fill in Alexis Mead. I mean, one of the best players that they have had in this program. But we're hearing that she picked up right where she left off, has a great rapport with the head coach, and so good communication. She's big on team camaraderie. I'm sure she's in the middle of all those pickleball tournaments and trying to get people riled up. But I'm expecting her to be an impactful player, I think, immediately. Also, an impactful player coming in that you think in the post as well that can step right in and be a player in Conference USA. Along with Telegdi. I mean, you've got Jennifer Silva, who's a legit 6'4" player, does really well on the block. You know, coach kind of joked with her, said, hey, I know you have always gone from block to block, but we need you to move a little bit so she can step outside and hit that jumper. But she'll have to learn this new system. I mean, coach loves to get up and down the court. He wants to play with tempo. You know how they defend. So she will be that presence in the post that they need.
One of the big stories, I think, for so many programs, how do the transfers fit in? How quickly do they gel? That'll be key for Western Kentucky as well as we move into the season. All right, let's take a look at the men now. Western Kentucky men. Listen, it was a little bit of a tough year last season in Hank Polona's first year. A little bit of a snake-bitten squad. So many injuries that they had to deal with throughout the season. They end up going 8-10 in conference play. And then after the year, they lose a lot to the portal. Thankfully, 9 newcomers, 7 transfers coming in, and you also get a couple of key players back from injury. Tegan Moore, Terrion Murdix should be healthy and ready to go. They too will open Conference USA play on the road at Jacksonville State. All right, pleased to be joined now by Hank Polona, Grant Newell from Western Kentucky. Appreciate you guys stopping by, spending some time with us. Coach, let's start with you. Year 2 now, leading this program. What were maybe the biggest lessons you learned in year 1, other than it's good to be healthy, that you can take into year 2 now this season?
Oh, I don't know. I think, you know, as you go through any Conference USA season, obviously, you know, it's going to be a challenge. And we were fortunate enough to be here, you know, for a year before and have some ups and downs, but end with some success. So I think after 2 years in the league overall, you know, obviously 1 year as a head coach, you know that anything can happen. You know that that all teams are competitive. Every single night that we lace them up, both at home and on the road, is going to be a challenge. You know, obviously we battled some injuries last season late that probably played a role in some struggles down the stretch. But you know, kind of as we turn the page to this year, it feels like kind of a fresh start in a brand new team, and we have a lot of new faces and a lot of new energy, and we're looking forward to what's in front of us.
Yeah, Coach, along that same line, so a year ago you take over the program, you have everybody coming back. This year, a lot of new faces, as you mentioned. So what are you doing? What's your approach been this year, different from years past with having so many new guys?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds, you know, obviously this is, I guess, overall my 10th year as a head coach, and it reminds me of the first 8 a lot more than it reminds me of last year. You know, I guess in my past, you always start with a new team, and you're always building from scratch, and you take the summer to kind of build camaraderie and togetherness, and to kind of figure out what different guys' strengths and weaknesses are, and then by late September, October, you try to kind of fine-tune those things and figure out exactly how you're going to play. So this actually reminds me of more years than not. I think last year there were times when, even as a head coach, I was trying to wrestle with continuing to do what we did the previous year, but then also putting my own stamp on it. And honestly, I'd probably be underselling it if I said that wasn't a constant battle and trying to figure out how to play. Whereas this year, it's actually much more familiar to me in the sense that we start fresh, and there's really no. I wouldn't tell you there's anything that we're doing because we did a year ago. You know, it's really building from scratch and trying to figure out these new faces and these new players and kind of what their strengths and weaknesses are, and trying to develop our own identity for how we're going to play Hilltopper basketball here this season.
Grant, you transfer in from North Texas. What was it about Western Kentucky and their system that you feel like fits your game so well?
Well, I think that I've been wanting to be able to play like a faster brand of basketball, more instinctive basketball, and that's something that Coach Hank and the rest of the staff told me that it was gonna be like. And I've watched my own film of how they played, and that's exactly what it was like when I first got here. So that's the type of basketball I'd want to play. Yeah,
Grant, from a player perspective, what's it been like for you coming in? bunch of new guys. What have you guys been doing and saying to each other in the offseason here to kind of get you guys gelling as a unit?
Well, honestly, wasn't really anything in specific. It was really, really easy. I think that we all gel really well. We have a lot of good guys from a bunch of different backgrounds, and you know, we've been working really hard together. One thing I can say is every single person, 1 through 16, guys who are hurt, guys who are playing, everyone's working hard. Everyone's in the gym, taking care of themselves, doing all the right things.
Last thing for you, Coach, getting Moore and Murdoch's back and healthy. How impactful can that be for your squad this season?
I mean, they're two very good players. You know, I'd probably be lying if I told you they're both not a very important part of our team. You know, obviously Teagan was, I'd say his injury last year going into the season was unexpected. You know, it's kind of had a surgery that kind of lingered and wasn't able to get back to full health. He's been. He actually broke his finger in the summer too. The first time we played 5-on-5. So
come on.
He knock on wood. He had another setback in the summer, but he's been going full since about mid-August at this point, and he looks good. And obviously he has experience in the league. He knows he's a big, strong, physical guard that can affect the game on both ends. And you know, and Terrion is. Terrion Murdoch is about as big of a winner as there is in college basketball, in my opinion. I think he's had all 4 years he's played on the court. The team has had a lot of success, so we're very fortunate to have him. I think there's not a lot of true point guards that have a team-oriented mentality, make teammates better, are elite defenders, and even can rebound the position. And Terrion does all those things. So we definitely expect Teagan and Terrion to be a huge part of our success this season.
Yeah, excited to see both of them back on the floor. Guys, appreciate the time. Best of luck this season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, as you take a look at this team, we talked about it. Last year, you felt for them. So many injuries they went through. They played hard. They were in a lot of games. There was no lack of effort from the guys that they had out on the floor. Just never were quite able to get into a groove because of all those injuries.
Yeah, and you know, they just sort of seem snake bit from that perspective. And, you know, it's Coach Plona made a reference to kind of a point I really wanted to make. Like his experience coming up through the junior college ranks as a coach really sets him up for kind of this new age in college basketball of a lot of turnover. So I was really interested to hear him say, like, hey, I'm really used to that. And I think some of, you mentioned injuries last year, some of it I really believe was kind of expectations. And it was a really difficult, they came off a championship, had everybody back, and while that gives you a lot of familiarity with teammates, it also kept those expectations really high. I like seeing that they have a new outlook, new players, a new perspective. And again, I'm really expecting to see that brand of basketball that Hilltopper Nation is used to seeing, hard, tough-nosed defense. Like we know Coach Plona likes to speed it up a little bit. And that's going to make for some exciting games. Yeah,
and you think that's the style we're going to see with this group, even with all the newcomers?
Yeah, I think so. I think Coach is most familiar with that. They've had success playing that way.
Absolutely.
And so I think they are ready. You can just tell they're chomping at the bit to get their guys healthy back on the court. And I think they have enough returning that they have that leadership and stability there that'll carry them through.
Yeah, interested to see how all the pieces come together for Western Kentucky this season. All right, we're going to step aside, but when we come back, how about this? We're talking to the commissioner of Conference USA, Judy McLeod, joins us. That's coming up next.